2 years ago today, I posted my very first YouTube video against the legend himself, Dylighted. Today, we'll be revisiting this epic semifinal game in order to share my new thoughts and strategies, as well as reflect on my growth as a player and as a YouTuber over the past 2 years. I'll also be giving a little bit more of the controversial background behind this game, so be sure to stay till the end. Let's jump into it. 2 years later, wow, that is very crazy. When this game took place, I'd only been playing Catan for about 3 months. So this was way before I invested my time into really developing a holistic strategy that includes game theory or microeconomics or inferential statistics, right? So now that I have grown into this super grandmaster, I should have much more insight to bring to this game, right? Let's hope. So some background first, this game took place within the Catan Championship Discord server. Back then it was a much smaller community and they hosted bi-weekly tournaments on the weekends. And now it has just skyrocketed, blown up to the largest Catan Discord server in the entire world. They now host a prominent league year-round, so you can play anytime you want. You're not limited to the weekends like before. And so I absolutely recommend playing it. I still play there today. It's free to join, free to play. Just sign up. I'll put the link down in the description below. And who knows, you might even play a game against me there. Now this was a semi-final game, so the winner goes to the championship. A lot at stake here. It was against myself, Kuuchi, Bucksas, and Dylighted under a secret account, Billy Destroy. Nice. Now what if I told you this was not our first attempt at playing this semi-final game? All 4 of us had actually played a semi-final game right before this, and after an hour and a half of playing, this is how it ended.
Oh, you're plenty.
Game, right?
You're plenty. 1, 2. Oh no, Catan champ. I mean the screen showed up, so I'm gonna play it. Longest road. Bucksas shows 10 points. Matata 8, Billy 8, Kuuchi 8. I don't know what you want to do, team. I just call the game. I just call the games. That's
So the game did not count because of a tiny little glitch there where Kuuchi's roads were counted as 7 when in reality it had 8 for longest road. So Bucksas took road and inaccurately won the game, and the solution for us was simply to replay it. There's no way to go back to that point in time and play it out. And if you're looking to watch that first game in full, the video is up on YouTube. It's on Retired Heroes channel. I highly recommend you check it out after you finish watching this video. The link will be in the description as well. Okay, now let's watch the video. Oof. Okay, let's pause. Such an amateur here, right? So whenever I was rewatching this video to look at it before I posted, I thought all of those Discord sounds were just from my computer. I didn't realize that they were captured in the recording. So I'm such an idiot, and I officially have not had Discord sounds on since I posted this video and found out my mistake.
Hey everyone, my name is Hakuna Matata and I play Catan.
Alright, yikes, this was rough, right? I put a very ugly PowerPoint together, and I simply just recorded myself talking over it. Didn't edit it, just posted it online. And I don't think I even had a mic back then either. I do think the content that I shared is actually still pretty good. The presentation though, oh my gosh. I just love talking about the strategy and my thought process behind these games and placements. And I use this video and YouTube in general as an outlet for sharing my thoughts, since I didn't have anyone else to talk to about it. And that very much still holds true today. I just like talking and discussing and collaborating with people about different ways you can play a Catan board. Such a simple board. So many different ways to play it. Yeah, that's kind of what started everything. Started these videos.
Where I took on 3 great opponents, Bucksas, Kuuchi, and...
Okay, another awful thing about this video is having another player with the name Kuuchi. It sounds like I'm saying the entire time. And now I'm demonetized. Fantastic.
And so first off with initial placement, I was placing first here.
Yeah, so what really made this game and video so interesting is the board itself. There are a lot of good spots here and lots of things to think about in such little time, right? So you can either get on the best wheat and probably get onto some strong ore on the way back, or you can get on the strong producing ore spots and then hope to be able to manage the non-wheat producing resources with a port or just excess production. As first pick back then, some of the major things I remember looking for are strong city spots and the coastal outs. Primarily looking at the 8-4, the 9-10, those are really strong. What 3 hex first position pairs best with those? And so to this day, I still think that 8-5-10 up in the top left is really, really strong pick. I probably would pick there today as well. And this is primarily because of the married port. Doubling up on the 5 sheep and getting on the sheep port, perfect city spot there. And it makes up if I don't get onto any wheat. And because of this, even if like the craziest things happen where everything I'm predicting to happen 7 settlements later doesn't go the way I think, I can really pair anything with this 8-5-10 and make it work because of how self-sustainable it is. And, I think those coordinated 6-9s with wheat and ore are just so beautiful, but it's a fever dream as first pick here, right? So I tried to just not think about it too much.
As second position, it's either going to be the 8-5-10 or the 6-9-3. I think me personally, as second position, I probably would have taken the 6-9-3 wheat.
Now, I don't know how much I agree with what I said there. I actually really like Dylighted taking the 8-5-10 here in second spot. As time has gone on, I found myself to really enjoy playing in second position. And that's because it gives you opportunities like this here, where you can have like a more aggressive play to get onto a strong expansion spot. In other words, Dylighted can point to this really risky 9-10 because his ability to get there is really in his own hands. The only 2 players on this board who might settle there are myself in first position and Dylighted. So if second position is trying to gamble on that spot being open, he has the opportunity to place his second settlement in a way that accommodates first player myself and what I want. This is an idea Dylighted himself actually brought up and presented in a video right here, and we'll discuss that a little bit more later.
Without a doubt, Bucksas absolutely has to place on the 6-9-3. That is probably the best place to be, especially since you have so much ore that you're definitely going to get on a ore pairing.
One important thing to note about Bucksas is his road pointing up, and it takes away the goated position of the 9-10-2 being as effective as it could be. The 9-10-2 really only works to the full extent if you get onto that 6-2-3 for 1 port, and so your first impactful settlement is a port, a new number, and high production. So that's why it's often a really, really good way to transform your setup early on. Because Bucksas pointed his road up, that's not a very easy goal to accomplish, right? So there's a stronger barrier to entry into the 6 wheat, and that also makes it less likely that it ever really gets blocked. It'll just be Bucksas on the 6. His 9 wheat's more likely to get blocked. There's gonna be more people on it. And so that's a very important road.
So what Kuuchi ended up doing was placing here first on the 8-4-3, and then followed by the 6-11-5. And, this is a really tough decision for anyone that was placing fourth here, but I don't think I would have gone this way. Just because, like I said before, I hate the 11 wheat. I think that's far too little, especially when you have 10 points of ore right next to it. And, what's the ore without the wheat, right? I probably would have taken the 6-5-9 and the 9-11-4, and possibly just let Bucksas take this 8-4-3 and get targeted quite a bit.
Yeah, that's tough, and it's largely because the 6-5-9 isn't really good here. And that's because the 9-10 is either taken by me or by Dylighted himself. So what good is that spot without a meaningful expansion and without a port to manage it? So it's kind of a trap, in my opinion. I still think this 9-11-4, 6-5-9 combo that I recommended is playable. You can possibly get on the 8-4. You just play without a port. And so that's a little gross. But back then, man, I was dead set on just trying to find wheat somehow. And I think now, as I've grown as a player, I've just become a lot more comfortable playing in wheatless setups. And so I might even consider a 6-5-9, 8-4-3 here. That seems very viable to me as long as you get on the 3-for-1 port, which you can make a deal for. And then you can leverage your ore for wheat. I love trading ore now. You get a port ASAP, outproduce your opponents. But either way, definitely a tough spot to be here in fourth position. I feel like no matter what you do, you're leaving something good for the players after you, so that's never a great feeling.
Since Kuuchi placed that way, Bucksas had the decision to make of, do they place on this 6-9-12 or this 6-11-12? You get way more production at the 6-9-12, you get all your resources at the 6-11-12, but I think what ultimately made Bucksas pick this 6-11-12 was looking at where Dylighted was, and Dylighted needed ore.
Now here I'm sure Bucksas had his heart set on just locking out the ore defensively, and he was hoping he could do that with the 6-3-11 instead of the 6-11-12. And I'm surprised I don't mention how much I don't really like this. I usually hate 6-11-12 because whenever you expand on those ports, it's on an 11 and on a 12. It doesn't increase your production very much, right? It's sometimes a waste of time. And a lot of times people pick that 6-11-12 because of the 6. And so it's just fool's gold, You're really only getting that one hex to benefit from, in my opinion. But here, Bucksas, I'm actually okay with him going on 6-11-12, but if and only if he points his road down and he tries to get on the 9-12, just to have that meaningful expansion. Without it, he's kind of just relying on like 2 numbers, and it's not the best setup. Like pointing this road right instead of down really only accomplishes one beneficial thing, in that it allows you to have 2 easy road settlements. So if you're not producing a lot of wood brick, it kind of saves you some resources in that sense, but it's just not great. The 3 for 1 on the 12 sheep does absolutely nothing, right? You have the 3 for 1 on the 6-2, way better. And then that brick port, it's meaningless unless you get on the 411, but with that setup, that could take years to get there. So I think pointing down, get on the 9-12 is just worth the gamble, and it could have been game-changing for Bucksas here.
So what ultimately happened was that because Dylighted couldn't get on this ore, he placed on the 9-11-4, which is my preferred spot, which made me place on the 9-10.
So in this game, Dylighted expressed his concern over the 9-10 being taken and began asking me like what I would need for me to leave it to him. But ultimately that led to nothing. As you saw, Dylighted takes the 9-4-11 here, and I take the 9-10. And this was just such a different era of Catan. There's hardly any creative starting settlement talks before the game started. Dylighted touches on this point in his video, actually. So he thinks of a solution would be for him to still take the 9-10-11. And then I take 9-10 too, and we start with a trade where I get one of his starting bricks so I can cut off Bucksas to the 6-2. I like the thought, but I'd absolutely still say no to this deal. And for a couple of reasons. One, it creates a chilling effect with Bucksas, ultimately leading to less of an ability for me to trade with him. He's really not even the best position. It looks scary with the coordinated, but it's not that great. 2, it slows down my goal of getting to that sheep port, right? So now I have to go to the 6-2 first. That's really just delaying my game, which is that sheep port. And 3rd, my 6-9 gets blocked a lot here. You know, that robber and is probably jumping between the 6 and 9 all game, and I'm going to get probably a lot more cards stolen from me than would actually happen here. And it's still absolutely a strong position. I'm not saying it isn't, but Dylighted's is much better if this deal would have gone through, right? Once he gets on the 9-10, he's crushing it. I think I'd absolutely prefer that position to my own at that point. But to clarify, I do think that if the 9-4-11 was open, or some other collection of future deals from Dylighted, would be the only way I don't take the 9-10 there. So I think if Dylighted goes something like the 9-10-2, points up and gets onto the 5 sheep, and that would allow me to have the 9-4-11, I think Dylighted's in a better spot there, actually. Because I think that 9-10's really, really strong. Ultimately, I think what he did, obviously it's fine. It's purely a playstyle preference too. Taking the 9-4-11 as Dylighted there, you're basically committing yourself to not having a strong port to manage all that wheat you have, and then kind of committing yourself to have to take longest road in order to win this game. Now, those are 2 things that I probably am not the most comfortable with, and try to do my best to not be in that position. But some people absolutely thrive there, so I'm still learning. Now, this game and every game I have played since has been exclusively on Colonist.io. Now, Colonist.io is absolutely free to play. It's the best way to play online Catan. You can play the base game, enter in tournaments like this, leagues like Catan Champs, and even play all the expansions like CK and Seafarers. I have spent so many hours on this website, I can't recommend it enough. The link will be in the description below, and thank you, Colonist, for sponsoring this video. Man, this game was legendary. It was so fun. I remember winning, being exhausted but so excited. Went on to the final. Absolutely blew it, but that's okay. And that was the best way to start a YouTube career, right? Just clickbait the hell out of Dylighted. You know, but since then, I've tried to make better and better content every time. For 2023, I'm looking to continue to push out educational content. But if you have any other ideas for styles of videos that I haven't produced that you'd like to see, or additional topics you'd like me to touch on, please leave a comment down below. I'm absolutely open to meeting any sort of demand that there is out there. And so I'd love to read it and be inspired. Me growing in 2023 as a creator and as a player really revolves around the support from you all. I can't thank you enough for those who have been here since the 2 years ago, those who have recently joined. It means the world to me to receive your positive feedback on these videos, and it's what motivates me to keep going. 2023 will be a huge year, lots of quality content coming out at a quicker pace for you all. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do so now. The best is yet to come. They want me to track the cards for that world semifinal game? That shit was like 3.5 hours.